We are nuts about new bolts. This is the Outside Gate with Steve Hall on the L4 Media Network. And this episode 57, it is brought to you by Spec Bolt. If you're watching rather than listening, you'll see I've got my Spec Bolt hat on. I've got my Spec Bolt shirt on. And I've got a guy that I've wanted to talk to for quite a while. He's an interesting guy. He's a fun guy. I feel like I already know him because I've seen some of his antics for quite a while. And also, who better than to have a restoration expert on to talk a bit about Spec Bolt and to talk about his life as well. Robby Green, how are you?
I am great. How are you doing today, Steve?
Fantastic, man. Every time I get to talk a bit of moto, it's always a good day, man. So any time I recording some shows, that's a good day.
That is and it has been a very good day. That is for sure. Had a very busy weekend this past weekend, so I'm glad to talk some moto.
Cool, man. And I know you've just been helping out at the Tennessee Knockout, man. So yeah, tell us a bit about that. What a cool event to help out at. I've been lucky enough to help out at some, national off-road rounds for Aussie nationals and things like that. Back when Toby Price was winning those before he got in the desert, before he got in he was already in the desert, but before he got on rally bikes and that sort of thing. It's amazing to be able to be that close to the action and feel like you're a little bit involved in what's going on with that caliber of rider, man. So tell us a bit about how the Tennessee Knockout went.
Well, it was a lot of fun. There's a gentleman by the name of Carson Brown who was going to ride a 1996 Kawasaki KDX 200, and we needed some very special gummy tires, some Dunlops. Unfortunately, they were very hard to come by, but I found two of them. Had a connection up in Tennessee at my buddy Andy Gray. He's a GNCC mechanic for one of the gentlemen at Landers KTM. So he was able to hook me up, and picked those tires up, took them up there to Carson, and we did the Nashville TKO downtown, and it was so funny. Carson had never done any type of riding like that. The concrete Jersey barriers are so difficult to get over. And then luckily for him, Cody Webb was actually parked right beside us and was like, all right, this is how you do it. And Carson literally knocked about 30 seconds off of his first time. And then that was the prologue. And then we went to the knockout that was on Saturday and Sunday. And I will just tell you, I wouldn't want to ride your bike in that, because all you could smell was clutch plates, two-stroke exhaust that were crunched all the way against the cases. It was very gnarly. And then to see the pros, how good they are, like the Tristan Harts, and I got a chance to see him, and of course Carson as well. They're riding up stuff that I tried to walk up, and it was all I could do to walk up on all four limbs, and I'm like, there's no way I would ever want to do this. I had visions of doing like Erzberg at some point in life, or going to spectate. Spectating is the way to go. So it was a very busy weekend. Glad to finally get back here to the home. Had a long stint there at Loretta Lands with Randy Richardson as well. So I've been traveling quite a bit, and my motorcycles have been missing me quite a bit. So I had to go say hello to them and clean them up a little bit. So. And that brings me to the Spec Bolt. I got a nice package from you the other day, and from Spec Bolt, and we'll be doing some restorations. I've actually already started one. I started the '89 RM 125. It's in process, and didn't get a chance to start it yet, but I think it's going to go back together. And like always, it went together like a dream. And you know how it is. certain bikes are really easy to restore. The Hondas and Yamahas tend to be a little easier, but Kawasaki's and Suzuki's and some of the Euro brands, they're really difficult to find parts for. So being able to get a spec bolt pack, it's very inexpensive for what you get out of it, and the time and the labor. I mean, even the brake rotor bolts, they already have Loctite on them. Yeah. I mean, that's something that that saves time right there. It's like, this is awesome. So yeah, we're doing that bike. We're doing an 89 RM 125, and we're doing going to finish up an 89 KX 125, which is why I've got my Kawasaki shirt on, because I'm going to be riding that in a couple of weeks at the Winners Take Y'all event down in Georgia. So I'm going to be riding that one. So
nice.
So
I love all those bikes, man. Yeah, I've got a vivid memory of 89 RM125. There was the Suzuki dealer had an 89 RM125 in the prime spot in the window, and I used to see that and just think, oh, have a look at that. And I bought my my YZ125 off the guy who was about to buy that 89 RM125. So, yeah, I bought his 86 YZ, and or YZ as YZ.
Oh yeah, yes.
And he was going in to buy the 89 RM. Yeah, so I always remember, I was like, wow, that's cool. Lucky me and lucky him. I was glad to buy his bike anyway. So
if you make it up here to the US, especially South Carolina, you get a chance to relive 1989 again, because I've got an 89 YZ 125, the 89 RM 125, an 89 CR 125, and I've got two 89 KX 125s. So I've got all the Japanese 125s for 89.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, awesome. Yeah,
we could do a shootout.
Got to do a shootout. Yeah. I would only be good as the slow C grade rider opinion. That's it. I always say that shows how much I love riding. Is that I've been riding for what if I've been riding for 38 years, and I'm still like a mid pack at best C grader. So that shows you don't stick with things that you suck at that long unless you really, really love them. So.
And likewise, I've been riding for a little bit longer than you, and I would probably consider myself about the same. So there you go. So just keep breathing.
It's funny though, isn't it? The older you get, the harder it actually is, because when you're a C grader, when you're young, like everybody's sort of on a bit of a level, but then as you get older, the C grade old guys seem to get faster and faster, don't they? They seem to hang back a bit and get faster and faster. It's like, you sure you're a C grader? Like C grade's a lot faster nowadays than it used to be, man. Like, I don't know, I know. I actually probably ride better now than I ever have. I don't know. It's a funny thing, but yeah, there's a lot of guys that like their trophies, and then also too, some of our events down here, like I did I always wanted to do a state level off-road race, and because I'd helped run the event several times and that sort of thing, but I never actually, it just cost a bit more and that sort of thing. Did a state off-road race, and it was like, there's no over 45 C grade. I had to go into B grade, and I was like, are you kidding me? I was thinking, am I better off being with the young blokes in C grade or with the old blokes in B grade? Because those guys, like, they were fast. But I didn't come last, so that was all right. Yeah, that was all right.
All you have to do is look at the lap times from Loretta Lynn's this past year. Look at what the C riders, look at their fastest laps. I mean, they were Mike Brown type lap times. And I'm like, are we sure this is the C class? And those guys are rolling for sure. And I did a little bit of mountain biking years ago. And you would think as the classes, as you get older, you would think, oh, it's going to slow down a little bit. No. All those guys are just getting their base and they're getting their lungs are getting bigger. And the 50 plus class was faster than the 35 plus class. I'm like, all right, well, I got a lot of work to do. That's for sure. So don't take time off.
I remember I raced a little bit sort of, between, I couldn't race until I was 18 because I had to be able to take myself because Dad wasn't into it, I didn't come from a dirt bike family, so it was like I had to be able to drive myself to a race. So I started doing some racing then, and then sort of to about, early 20s and bits and pieces, and not very good at it, and particularly had no idea. I could have been a lot better, but I had no idea what I was doing. Like suspension, the fork seals aren't leaking, so your suspension's great. That was sort of knowledge of suspension, and training was like, don't drink too much on Saturday night, because we raced on Sunday. And that's so I was always much better in the first race of the day, unless I was hungover. So, it was a funny thing. But then I raced cars, and then I got married and got fat, and just sort of, I didn't race. I always just trail rode. I never stopped trail riding. But then when I turned 35, I was like, right, let's have a crack, And I rode heaps, and I wasn't fit, and I was still fat, but I was riding a lot. I had just the old school bike fitness. And I went and I thought, I shouldn't be too bad in the over 35s class. I got there, I was just like, oh my God, like these guys are just slightly slower than the A graders, because they are all old A graders, like at our club level, the club that I was involved in. And man, that was the MCRCV, which is a club I love and I was very involved with. And at one stage, I had him on the show a while ago. I used to joke that that was when Daniel Sanders was coming up through the ranks, and at one stage he was the fastest guy in the club, and I was the slowest guy in the club. Because the senior race would be all classes in together, And I wasn't actually, I wasn't really the slowest. That was just a joke. But I was like, maybe like, if I beat like 5 or 6 guys, that was good, Whereas Daniel, he always lapped me, that sort of thing. So in the 3-hour races and things like that, that was the laugh here. But over 35, because most of the guys that are slow and suck like me, they've given up. It's the guys that are still fast and still good at it that keep going. So it's not like you think. And now I'm over 40 race over 45s, and it's just the same. Like these guys are animals, man. Like
that was that very similar experience at the regional for Loretta's, because the original plan for this year was Randy came to talk to me about, I want to go to Loretta's. I was like, oh man, well, I'm going to try. I haven't been since 2001. And I said, I'm going to try. And so I bought a Husky TC 250, and Randy had his Husky TC 250, and did the area qualifiers. They're relatively easy. It's just more or less pay your money, get into the regional. And we got to the regional, and I'm going to tell you what, I was like, there's some guys here that I was like looking at the sheet, and I'm like, oh, I remember this guy's name from like 2000 or 2001. And I look out there on the track, and I'm like, oh my gosh, that guy is hauling. I don't have anything for that guy. So then I start like, I can't beat Randy. I can't beat Mike Brown. I was like, I'm not going to beat Frank. I'm not going to beat Earl May. So I'm like, okay, so I'm going to be looking for 5th place lap times. And I'm 14 seconds a lap slower than like 10th place. And I'm like, oh boy, this is not going to be good at all. So those guys really got fast, and mucho respect for those guys, because they've been riding a lot, and I've been doing more, I run a business, so I just don't have that kind of time sometimes. Sometimes I work on the weekends, and with all the bikes that I've got, I spend a lot of time just working on bikes. It's like a full-time job, just maintaining the fleet. You get a chance to where you start seeing there's a lot of parts that, hey, that's off of a YZ125, but man, to work on this KX125, and start swapping parts over, and that's where, like, for me, having that spec bolt kit has been like instrumental in helping me. It buys me time because as I've been working on all these bikes, especially going to Loretta's, I bought the whole kit to take with me to Loretta's, because I was like, if I try to buy each one of these individual boats, I make it to Loretta's and swing up, a engine case bolt falls out or a fork tube bolt falls out. I'm gonna be out of luck. I need to put those bolts back in. So, that's what I told Randy. I was like, hey, I'm going to take my spec bolts. Since you made it to Reddit, I'm going to take my box of spec bolts, because we'll be able to rebuild the whole bike there if everything falls out. And then, getting back to, just working on the bikes and riding the bikes. I enjoy all aspects of it. I have just as much fun working on them or watching people work on them, like this past weekend at TKO. Watching Dwayne Brown, Carson's dad, just get his bike set up, and watching the guys change the bib mousse and such like that. I'm like, now that's one thing I don't really like doing is bib mousse. I'm gonna leave that to everyone else, but yeah, I've realized that, as we get older, time is a precious commodity. And, as you can see in those classes, when those guys are riding a lot, man, it shows. When we're not riding a lot and you're not riding a lot, it shows. But the one place that we have a little bit of an advantage is if we can gain some time is making our life easier. Like, hey, use some spec bolts. Let's use the correct tools. Let's get our buddies to chip in and let's have a air filter cleaning party. Which never works, by the way, because I end up cleaning them all anyway. So.
yeah, that's it. Yeah, with spec bolt, man, like I do everything myself. So when I restore a bike, and my collection and my restoration experience is just a slightest bit compared to yours, but the passion for it is probably just as strong. And I like to do like everything myself. And, I taught myself, my brother-in-law he's a gun spray painter. So I taught myself, he used to spray paint you. So I do 2-pack frames rather than powder coat. There's pros and cons to both. Powder coat's definitely tougher. I like the finish of the 2-pack paint. Yeah. And he used to do my frames, and then and what it's like getting family to do things. I love him dearly, but it'd take him like so long to do it. So I bought a gun, and I talked to him, and I did a frame, a frame, and I was pretty happy with it. And then as I've done them, they've gotten better and better. And like the last one I did, like I don't know how I could get it better, So that's my 86 YZ. The frame looks fantastic, and that sort of thing. And then, I used to be a mechanic, so all manner of engine work and everything like that, I can do everything myself. And the one thing that I haven't been able to do myself is, and I was going to set up to be able to, re-zinc plate bolts, bolts. And it's pretty big setup, and it's like, it is pretty time consuming, and I never got around to setting that up. And then you come across a company like Spec Bolt, where for the price of what you get, I don't need to set up a zinc plating system at home. Like, I don't need to do that. You can just get it. It's amazing. I got a kit just recently for the 86 YZ and for an 84 CR250 Honda CR250. That's the two I've got on the go at the moment, and I can't believe the detail, man. Like little Ziploc bags, and it's got,
and
they are everything, yeah.
And they're all labeled correctly, and it's like,
you don't just get a bag of engine bolts, you get a bag of water pump bolts and a bag of ignition
Shifter
cover bolts.
Yeah. And my favorite, this is something right here, and they're so hard to find. The carburetor bolts for the float bowl. They're always stripped out on these bikes.
Amazing.
They're always I don't know what some of these people stick in there to try to remove those bolts. But I'm like, what? We have and you're afraid to kind of heat that up or bang on it because it's a carburetor. And I've actually had carburetors break. On as recently as a 94 KX 250. It was so gummed up, and just lightly tapping it with a hammer, trying to get the bolts out. I had a spec bolt kit here for that bike. I bought one for you, and I'm slightly typing the bolt, trying to get it off, and then one of the screws was like boogered up, and I had a pair of vice grips trying to get that thing. I then drilled it out, and then ended up just keep drilling, and finally got it to break loose, and pulled the float bowl off. No jets, no main jet, no float bowls, no pilot jets, just full of mud. And I'm like, oh my gosh, surprise! So so that's some of the joys of I was like, the guy told me it hasn't run in a while. That's what he told me. I'm like, I don't think the bike could run like that. But he did tell me that he's like, it does leak a little bit of gas out of the overflow tubes. And I'm like, okay, all the gas is coming out because there's nothing in there to stop it. So that's some of the
horrors, man. You get some horrors, don't you? It's
oh my gosh. Yeah. And
crazy.
But and actually on some of the restorations, so for me, I love Kajivas. Kajivas for me, that was my very first big bike, was a 1988 Kajiva, and some of those older Euro bikes, they use those Allen head bolts.
Yeah.
And if you're restoring it just to let it see it, that's fine. But if you want to ride it, those bolts just fill up with mud. So I've taken and I'll save those bolts to the side, and I'll upgrade it. I'll get like a 2018 KTM 150 SX. A lot of the bolts are the same lengths, and I can just retrofit where I can use an 8mm wrench or a T-handle to be able to work on the bikes. And I don't know if Spec Bolt knows that or whatever, but it's a handy option to have, because I can pull all those Allen bolts that are horrible and use like a 8mm, and then that way you're not just always with trying to dig the mud out of the Allen bolt, so you can get your wrench in there to adjust something. I love it for that as well. I've done it on my 83 Husqvarna XC250, and I did that on the 86 Kajiva 125 and my 88 Kajiva 125. So I think I'm doing it on my 89 Kajiva 250. So yeah, I have 11 Kajivas right now. So,
11. I knew you had a few. I didn't realize it was 11, man. How many bikes you got? How many bikes you got total?
Well, I just updated the spreadsheet today. It's 117.
Oh, that's fantastic.
It's awful. It's not fantastic. It's a full-time job.
And man, it's a full-time job. I love the spreadsheet. I had Randy on the show. He real early. He was a real early guest on the show, which was very good of him. And he and we spoke a little bit about you at one stage. I might have probably asked him about you and the spreadsheet, because I've heard of that, and it's fantastic, because you've got to run them, and you've got to look after them. Like, even my little collection, I'll have a day where it's like, right, you go through everything, you pump the tires up, you fresh fuel, drain the bowl, fresh fuel, start them up. Give them a couple of laps of the backyard and just make sure they're all, everything's all good to go and that sort of thing. They've got to have that, man. Because they're sitting around is no good for them, man. No good for them.
just yesterday. So I got home early enough to where I could start a couple of bikes. I'm moving a few bikes to my plant. And just yesterday, started my 1978 YZ400, my 1974 KX125, a 1994 KDX 200, and then my 2024 YZ250X, the cross country Yamaha. And then after I did all that, I was like, I don't know, I feel like I really need to start something else. So I went in there and I grabbed one of my KTM, my KTM 150, and started it and rode it around a little bit. And all the neighbors love me, especially because they're two strokes and all the smoke. They always ask me, "Is something on fire?" No. It's just a two stroke. It's like,
is your yard or your driveway like big enough to get through the gears a bit?
a little bit, yeah. Well, I've got like 3 acres, and then at my plant, during my lunch break, I might just grab a sandwich and go over, and I've got almost 10 acres down there, so that's a lot more riding area. So, but yeah, it's tomorrow is going to be a bunch more bikes. I think we got I think we got a 1980 RM100 that we're going to start, and then a 79 RM125. So those will be the two that I start tomorrow. I have to be careful because I wear a nice shirt, and you get all the black two-stroke splatter on your back. If you got it, when you ride that down the road or whatever, you'll get black stuff all over your shirt. And then some of them
never wear a nice shirt when you're doing anything like that.
Wear a black shirt, yeah.
Never wear a nice shirt. It's like, yeah. That's it. I remember. You learn that the hard way. I learned that. I was telling this to someone the other day. I used to get home from school and jump straight on a bike. And sometimes like still in my school uniform. And I remember blowing a head gasket on a what was it? It was an SL125, and I blew a head gasket on it in my school uniform, and I was wringing its neck up and down the backyard, and had no idea that it was pumping oil out and covering me in oily spot in the school uniform. So after that, I had to get changed before I went on my motorbike. So that was and you got to even the old when you got a fresh set of gear, you want to be careful. I like to make that fresh set of gear last, man. Like I wear the old stuff, especially when you're tinkering or you're testing tuning a little bit, man. And because sure enough, I'm going to spill something all over myself. Or
and then even at the race, I got last year I had that solid white Fly Racing. It was the limited edition, white shirt, white pants, down at Day in the Dirt down south, and we were at the vintage race, and I was wearing it. What I did not realize is the Honda CR480 that was in front of me, as he's revving the bike, he's just covered me, and I didn't notice it until I was like, what is this on my tear-offs? So I pulled my tear-off, and I went and I'm like, oh my gosh. And I looked down, and I am covered in this stuff.
Yeah.
No, I haven't even ridden in it yet. I mean, I had just put it on. I had just pulled the tags off, and now I'm covered in oil. And and of course, it stained it. It's there forever now. So, so thankfully, it's kind of gray now, so it kind of blends in a little bit. But I was like, wow. I was like, this guy just covered me with rich jetting on a CR480. So, yeah. Of course, he won too. So
makes it even worse. Yeah.
That thing was not going to seize that day with blowing out all that oil. So and you get back to it. It's the passion of it, and I still have my very first motorcycle. My parents bought it on February 12th, 1981. It was a Thursday. They picked me up from school, said, hey, we're going to go get you a motorcycle. And I was like, oh, really? And I was the only kid in the neighborhood riding a bicycle still. Everybody else had motos. And so we get there, and I was very, very short. So first bike I look at, 83 YZ100 or 82 YZ100, which was, it was over my head, the seat. So there was no way I could get on it. And then we started looking at the KX80s, the ones that had the rear fender with the number plate integrated.
Yeah.
And again, it was just way too tall. I couldn't get it. So then they had this little blue Kawasaki KD80, a little rotary valve engine.
Yeah,
and
I know the
the
ones.
only
Yeah.
bike I was tippy-toeing trying to sit on this thing. And I was like, they were like, well, maybe you're too small for a bike. We just won't get you one. And I'm like, no. We'll grow into this one. So we're going to go home with a bike. So we got that. And that was on a Thursday. The very next day was February 13th on a Friday. So it's Friday the 13th. All I could think about with school was getting home to go ride that bike. I got home. The bike had fouled a plug. And not only that, this is when I learned the value of bolts and holding things together, because I did all my own work too. The steering stem bolt, the biggest bolt on the entire bike, had fallen off on that Thursday afternoon. So I got on the lawnmower. We had a riding lawnmower. I rode around the lawnmower looking for that bolt because it was just such a big bolt. And my steering stem had, and I was riding around just trying to find, and I found that bolt. I could not believe I found that bolt.
Yeah.
And, so we stuck it back in. My dad, we didn't have any tools or anything, so we used a big pair of channel locks, the vice grips, and just torqued it down and put a new spark plug in it. And then I've had it ever since. I rode it just a few years ago, as a matter of fact, so I still have it. And I look at that bolt because it's right there on the steering stem, and you can still see the marks on it where my dad and I put it on that one day, and I don't think it's ever been off since. So
yeah. That's fantastic. Those memories, man, it's just the best.
Oh, yeah.
So please tell me that that's the first bike on the spreadsheet. Is that like at the top of the spreadsheet?
You know, I actually, when I started doing this spreadsheet, Honda defaulted to the top of, so because I don't have a Can-Am or anything. But
right. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Alphabetically. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So it did it alphabetically. But don't worry. I actually have that one highlighted as never to sell.
Yeah.
Never to sell.
Yeah. It's highlighted. Yeah. Have you ever sold one? So you kept your first one. Have you ever sold ones from your childhood then you wished you never sold?
Oh, there's been several. I sold a very nice 85 Yamaha IT200. I went to a gentleman in England, and I regretted selling it so much that the minute that it shipped overseas, I was already looking for another one. So I found two of them. I found an 84 and an 86. 86 has the disc brake. That was one I really regretted selling right there. And then I sold Carson Brown my 2001 CR250. It was in mini boxes, and shipped it out to BBR in Washington. Dwayne put it together. I vapor honed all the cases and the frame and shined it up. And then that's the bike that he rode this past year in 24 at the Day in the Dirt. And after I saw it all together, I'm like, oh, I shouldn't have sold this 01 CR250. This is such a nice bike now, but I didn't have the vision, and I really didn't have the time. And then after I saw Carson ride it, I was like, well, he's going to ride that thing really, to the maximum of its potential. But those are two bikes right there that I can think of. And then and I had a probably all-time favorite bike, 2009 YZ125. I put that bike through the ringer. I raced GNCCs. I raced little hair scramble races. We raced motocross. Randy rode it. All my buddies have ridden it. That bike probably had 300 hours on the same bottom end. I sold it. The guy raced an entire season of GNCC and put one piston in it. And then he sold it to another gentleman, and I'll bet you that bike's got 500 hours on the bottom end. That like it is like you just get them and they're put together really good.
Yeah.
So I know where the bike is, and the guy is like put this big oversized gas tank on it, and it's just covered in dirt, and it is still on the same bottom end. So now looking back at that, I was like, man, I should have kept that one. That was a great bike. And
yeah. It's amazing, isn't it? Sometimes you just get ones that are just I learned my lesson. I keep the ones I love now. You know, like I sold a few like my 86 YZ125. They weren't like an extra special bike. They were a decent sort of good bike. They weren't the best bike in the class. They weren't the worst, but why I loved that was because it was my first big two-stroke. You know, it was my first full-size bike, and it was a two-stroke because I had a XR75 and then an XR80, and my dad not being a dirt bike guy, and I wanted to get like a CR80 or a KX80, or I wanted a two-stroke 80, and he's like, you already have an 80. Why do you want another 80? Why don't you just get a 125? And I'm like, you mean I can get a 125? And he's like, yeah. So straight away, I was like, all right, I'm getting the 125. Okay. I had to pay for them myself. I used to, I paid for everything myself. And I used to work after school and work school holidays and all that sort of thing, like for him. So at least he provided an avenue for me to earn the money. But yeah, and so straight away I went shopping for a 125, and I ended up selling that, and that's why I'm restoring another one now. I found one that was pretty good and that sort of thing. So and then another one that I wish I had kept was it's strange to think how old it is now, but I had a 03 KTM 200. That was just one of the best bikes I've ever had. It was just a fantastic, that thing. Yeah, it was just a gem, and I'll try and find another one of them one day. It's just one of them ones that I should have kept. Yeah, it was really cool. It was still that very first generation of the 200s, but it was might have been the first one where they went to upside down forks, I think, or maybe the second one where they went to upside down forks. So remember they had the Jack Piner bikes, and that had the conventional forks and that, the blue ones, and then they had like a silver one, and I think mine was the first one that was like real orange, and that was one that I'd wished I'd kept. But other than that, the other ones that I've got my couple of Cowies that I love, that are like my children. So
and that reminds me, I had when you say KTM 200, I had two of those KTM 200 SX 2004 models. I wish I'd have kept one of those. That was a super fun bike. So I changed my answer. That would be the one I'd really, really like to have back right there. That one would be, oh man, I miss that bike. I sold it to a buddy of mine, and I said, listen, if you sell this bike, I want first dibs. He's like, oh yeah, no problem. I'm never going to sell it. He didn't have it 3 months, and he traded it for a Harley Davidson Sportster.
Oh no.
And I was like, Carl, I said, I would have bought that bike back from you for the same price. He's like, yeah, they gave me a lot less than I paid for you. I would have bought it back. You did not hurt that bike. And that would have definitely been another one there. I love that style. And the 25 KTMs look a lot like those 2004s.
I just loved the look of it. Like when I saw it, and it was a really cool deal. They actually let you test ride dirt bikes, so which was unusual because they lived next to a bit of state forest and that sort of thing. And I test rode it, and I was just like, oh yeah, that's what I got to have, and that sort of thing. And it was a great bike, just unbelievably reliable, and just it's I never touched for like the I can't remember what the gap between maintenance was huge amount of hours you could put on top ends, and you never touched the bottom end like just ever. And that's, I think it was a good thing. And also it was an EXC our EXCs here are probably more like your XCs there. Yeah, like
Okay.
EXCs in the States are very sort of dual sport, whereas
Yes.
our EXCs here is what like the national team races in off road. So they're probably closer to your XC, I would say. Yeah, it's a bit of a sort of different setup. So this thing was sort of like it was like a overgrown, was like an overgrown KTM 125 with this cool digital speedo. You know, this digital speedo that lit up orange at night, which was like, wow, how cool
Really?
that
Oh wow.
space
Yeah.
age. And it had just a little headlight and the tail light piece that just bolted straight off and that sort of thing. And it was a very, very cool little bike, that one. So I'll find another one of them nowadays. Even, a huge amount of friends I have just clung to their KTM 200s, so the last generation of them. And they're like, we'll never sell these things. They should never stop making them. The people love them. They're really fun bike to ride. So,
I saw one at TKO. A guy had one at TKO Racing. It was probably the 04, 03 time frame. And he was riding it on amateur day. And I was like, oh, that's a 200 because I could hear him. And it was the EXC, so headlight, tail light. And I was like, I wanted to get a picture of it, but by the time he went by, the hill was straight up. I couldn't go up the hill to go trace him down. So, they're still out there. They're still out there. Yeah.
Fantastic. Yeah, that's it.
Have you been able to own your 86 YZ 125? So that's white and red, correct?
Yes. Yeah.
In Australia. Okay. So when we had the yellow and black ones all the way up to 84, and then at 85 we got white and red. So when I was growing up, I always wanted the white and red, and then like an 83 YZ 125, and I was like, Australia and Canada, man, they get all the cool stuff. It's white and red in Europe, and they've got yellow and black. So I was just wondering. I thought Yamaha had gone all white and red, even in Australia and Europe, and so yeah.
Yeah, there was a few maybe just models, and we got some little dribs and drabs of yellow ones at times. Like probably that's probably more late 70s. I think some of maybe the YZ80s might have come in yellow that, but in general, and that's probably just because they built too many for the US, so we'll just send some to Australia. There's a little bit of that, but it's very, very rare. But yeah, so we thought the yellow ones were cool. I was like, wow, that's like that's like Bob Hanna, that's like cool, like that. Well, said it was cool. Like my love of bikes predates me because like I got into bikes in sort of the mid 80s, but straight away I was fascinated with the history. And so I started buying back issues of magazines and reading about bikes from the 70s and the 80s and early 80s and all that right back. And then I also, my neighbor had a collection of bikes and some pretty old stuff and some vintage bikes and that sort of thing. And I used to annoy the hell out of him, looking at his bikes and riding his bikes and that sort of thing. So, I got a bit of a taste of the vintage stuff there, and straight away. And also too, I'm the only chance to watch anything to do with motorcycles where I grew up was going down to the video store and hiring on any Sunday. So that was,
wow, yeah.
That was it. There was nothing on television. There was nothing. There was on any Sunday, and then of course you found Winners Take All, and they'd go on rotation in the VCR. I'd get Dad's card, his hire card for. It wasn't Blockbuster, but whatever it was called, Blockbuster was the big chain in the cities, but. Video. We used to call it Video Joe's because the guy that ran it was called Joe. Go down to Video Joe's with the hire card for Dad's, account or whatever, and you go down, you get, and of course they were they were weeklies by then. So you'd get on any Sunday for a week, I'd ride down there on my 10 speed. Then the next week I'd go down, I'd get winners take all for a week and just wear them out. Yeah. So, and of course, on any Sunday, all those old bikes and Malcolm Smith, and that. So straight away, I loved old Husqvarnas because of Malcolm. And I thought Tin Tanks and Twin Shocks and all that was just so cool. And I'd buy older bikes. I could never buy a cool old bike, but like that SL125 I was telling you about. Like I had a YZ125 that was like good, but I'd buy old SLs and old XTs and old just crap like that I could get for not much, just to tinker with it, and get them going and ride them. And I used to make a little bit of money out of them too. I'd buy an old stinking bike and tidy it up best I could as a kid. You'd have your cans of black paint and your cans of aluminium colored paint, and you'd tidy them all up and that sort of thing. And because my dad sort of it's funny, from my first bike, he basically he took me down to the shop that sold all the like tools, and he said, right, see that toolbox there? It was a big tool chest. And he goes, it's going to cost me this much. So that'll be the next 2 Christmases and the next 2 birthdays. And I said, absolutely, bring it home. And straight away, and then it was like, oh, they're your bikes, you fix them. So I just started learning. That was probably, I was probably about 11, 12 when that happened. I got my first bike at 10. And so it took him a little while to I still remember him working on my XR75 and he cracking the shits and that sort of thing. You work on your bikes, but he was always there when I broke something or stuffed something up to help me. It's like you just like learn to be a mechanic by just having a crack at it. So
that's right. Yeah, that's funny. My dad was so good. Like on those little rotary valve motors, they have a points and condenser, and you have to have it opening right when it comes past top dead center.
Yeah.
And I was hard to this day. I'm horrible at it. I still can't hardly set those things. And my dad can just sit there, undo it, and then he opens it up, tightens it down, boom, ready to go. And I'm like, how do you do it so fast? He's like, I don't know. I just do it. I was like, how did you learn? On a lawnmower. And I'm like, he said, well, it's the same thing. So, I would always, the points would slip on those KD80s. That was their Achilles heel. There's just one little Phillips head screw to hold it, the setting in place. And then if it got loose, which for me, I was 21 years old, still riding my little Kawasaki KD80. And all my friends, they had like 83 YZ250. Another buddy had an 85 CR5. He had a 500. And then a couple other buddies, they had like XR 100s. And I could keep up with the XR 100s, but the big bites, we weren't keeping up with those guys, especially the 500. He would just get in front of you and just roost you. And back then it was just, this was our helmet. Some days we didn't even have a helmet on. And we just drive all over the country and have tennis shoes on and leave at 7:00 in the morning and come back at 7:00 at night. And I'd have all these little red marks all over me. My mom would say, what happened to you? Get stung by a bee? And I was like, no, Mom, I got roosted. Got roosted by a CR500, huh? It's a wonder I still have all my teeth, So,
Did you ever do the thing where you took like where you strapped like some spare gas on your bike for those days?
Absolutely.
Those trips, we would get like a on my YZ, I'd take the front plate off because you'd scuff up the front plate, And then so you'd get like a 5 liter, so like a gallon oil thing, an engine oil thing, and you'd put 2 straight mix in that and bungee cord that around the forks because you're going to ride that far and go that far that you're going to need it, and you're just out there on your own, and there was no nothing, just you and your mates and your bikes and just go out through the bush and just Just
I
keep
had
on going. So
I had the so on the so I had to leave the front number plate on my bike because the plastic jugs, they just didn't work. The caps would leak, so it'd spray gas all over me.
yeah.
So the only thing that wouldn't leak was a old glass milk jug, and it actually had a screw. So I had this glass milk jug that probably weighed 4 pounds, and then you put a gallon of gas in it, so you had about 20 pounds of weight on the front end.
Yeah.
And I kid you not, I probably rode 4 years with a flat front tire because I didn't know how to change the tires. And I didn't have tire irons or anything. So I rode like 4 years like that. And I don't know how that bike stayed together. And I had this, if I would have crashed, I would have cut myself to pieces and then caught myself on fire at the same time with that big old milk jug up there.
With the glass, yeah. That's a classic. Yeah. That's awesome. Yeah. And it made them handle real bad. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Because as soon as you could fit that into the tank, you'd fit that into the tank. Then you just had the empty container on the front.
Yeah.
That's when your bike start handle better. And if you're doing big jumps, it'd start to come loose. That the fuel would start, the container start to come loose, and that was just
we never had any where we rode. We were what we would call, let's go trail making. So it would be like, we're just going to go through the woods and find the path of least resistance and go through the woods. So we really didn't have any jumps. I never really rode a track until I got my Cajiva. That was the very first time I ever went out on a track, was on my Cajiva, and I was 21 at that time. And but my little KD80, I will tell you, this thing, after you put the gas in it, I didn't want to lose my bottle, so I'd have to tape it back on there, and let's hope that thing doesn't fall off, And but yeah, it's funny. I had that bottle for forever, and sometimes we would go from our house all the way to the downtown Greenville area, and there's this like super exclusive hotel down there. It's like the Poinsett Hotel, like Team Yamaha. They stayed there this past year, or for the press launch, they had everybody there. And back when I was a kid in the early 80s, that it was abandoned. It was there was nobody living there. The downtown was dead, and I would ride my motorcycle inside that hotel, and we had like a supermoto track in there.
Oh, nice. Yeah.
And then so it has these little bitty 1x1 pieces of tile, and they're still in there. And I remember one night we had a flashlight, like an ever ready flashlight. That's how we would shine the light on the road to get there. And oh man, those are good memories. And then we take the milk jug, and then when you run out of gas at the, in the hotel, you're like, I got just enough to get back.
Yeah.
Gas in there. You're like, all right, let's go home.
Yeah, that's it. Because it was kind of like your reserve. Yeah. All right. Yeah. Right. So we better turn around and start heading back to home.
We're 12 years old. We have no helmets. Nobody knows where we're at. There's no cell phones, and we're in the middle of nowhere in downtown, 15 miles from home. So
we always
3 o'clock in the morning.
We always had helmets. That was one thing. Always had helmets. But before a start, it was just helmets, and then I'd start to get blisters. So I went in. I bought my first pair of gloves, which I'd kept. Wish I'd kept them. And they were one that you American listeners won't remember, but Aussie listeners will remember Steve Kramer products. They were SCP gloves, and Jeff Leask used to wear them, which was one of the things. These red, white, and blue SCP gloves. So that was the ones I wish I'd kept them. But,
oh wow, yeah,
they'd be real vintage gloves now. But and then that was it. It was just like work boots, jeans, and you'd be constantly tearing the insides out of the legs of your jeans, rubbing on the tank. And a t-shirt. That's it, or a t-shirt, or a jumper if it was cold, or a like so, or a flanny, yeah, a flannel. That was always a good go too, because then you got long sleeves, a bit more protection. And then I remember a mate of mine broke his leg, and then it was like, and he just wearing work boots, and it's like, all right, we better get some motocross boots. So we got, me and my mate, we got the ones with all the buckles up the side, like that. Your early boots, which there's not a lot of protection, but more, at least a bit of ankle support. And then that's how I rode for many years. Yeah, that was all we had. And then I remember my first jerseys was we didn't even have anywhere to buy jerseys here. You'd see it in magazines. So my sister was good on the sewing machine. So I was like, all right, can you make me some red and white jerseys? So she made, like, I think one was red with white sleeves and one was white with red sleeves or something like that. And she sewed them. I should have kept them as well, and they were just plain, no labels and that, of course. But yeah, I'd wear them with blue jeans. That was
that is awesome. That shows some really good passion for the sport right there, for sure.
Yeah. And
when I got the Cagiva, I will never forget. I found it on the local newspaper, and this would have been summer of '91, and went over to get the bike and bought the guy. I bought the guy a bunch of money, what I thought, and because he was asking a lot more, and I was like, I'm gonna make you an offer. He looks at, I paid $742 for the bike. He was asking $1,000. I told him I was going to bring him $750, but when I got there, I was $8 short. And this is how broke I was. I didn't have $8 left. I had quarters and nickels and dimes and coins, and I just handed in the bag. I said, "This is everything I got. I don't even have money for gas." And I didn't even have a truck. My cousin had to drive me. And he's like, okay, well, I'm moving tomorrow, so I got to sell the bike. So my cousin was like, wow, I can't believe he took that $740. He didn't even count all that change. I went, well, $742. Yeah. And so we're loading the bike up. We didn't even have tie down, so we had rope. So we're pulling the rope down, and trying to tie the bike off. And that bike is just and the guy walks out, and he had a pair of red Axo Rinaldi boots. I'd never had riding boots. Yeah. And then he had a Biaffi helmet. And I was like, oh my gosh, I've never had a full face helmet, because the helmet I had was open face. And he had JT racing gloves. He had some Scott goggles. And I will tell you what, I thought I was factory, and he felt sorry for me. He had a little small bottle of Bel Ray MC1 and some Yamalube that he was using in the transmission. So I was like, oh my gosh, I have hit the lottery here. And and I remember I went home and I did the same thing. I didn't have any riding pants, but I had blue jeans, and I had a matching T-shirt, that was like blue, that would like kind of look like it was the same color as the Cagiva, and that was my uniform. So, but I washed my JT gloves every time I finished with them, and I put the helmet beside my nightstand at night. And I was like, oh my gosh, Mike Healy's riding one of these. He's got a Biaffi helmet, It's cool, and we got these Rinaldi boots, and I was waxing the boots, and the boots were worn out, but I'd never had riding boots. So, I wish I don't even know what happened to that stuff. I have no idea. I don't even remember selling it. I just remember, I guess it's gone somewhere. I don't know where it went, but no more of that. That's for sure. So very fortunate to now actually have real riding gear. So
yeah, I remember I stuck with the blue jeans for that long, and my mum would actually sew patches on the insides of the knees because I'd just keep tearing the hands apart.
Well, that's a great idea.
So she'd have those, and my mum was she's gone now. Yeah, she's half Scottish, and the Scottish side was strong with the being thrifty and saving money and all that sort of thing. So
Oh yeah.
they say about the Scots, yeah, she was a bargain hunter, and she would keep old pairs of jeans for the to use for patches for the insides of my knees. So it's like,
Oh,
and I
was
remember.
trendsetting.
I remember I was on this this like 2-day ride, and I was still running the blue jeans, and it was wet and it was winter and all that. So it's so cold, it's terrible. And one of the guys there, he hurt his knee the first day, so he set out the second day, and he's like, dude, borrow these pants, man. Like, it'll change your life, you know. And he loaned me his nylons, and I remember just like, wow, there's so much more.
Wow, yeah.
Like, they get wet, you stand up down the next transport section, and they're dry already, you know. Like, and it's just and it was just like, all right, I better buy some of these myself.
Some of these,
because it's funny. I was saying to someone the other day, like, we didn't even think that, you know, for us, people who raced or you know, and wore all that gear and that, it was another world, you know, to us. Like, we thought you had to be an amazingly fast rider to even have a go at racing, because we didn't have a racing scene. So it's like, it wasn't even a thought that just the average person could roll up and have a go at a race and that sort of thing. And, you know, and we thought to wear all that stuff and to look like that, you had to also be really fast, you know. It was like, it's almost like you didn't deserve to look like that, you know. Like, it was funny. And also too, it's a lot of funny stories of these. A lot of the guys I used to ride with, they were real life Ronnie Macks, like an Aussie version of Ronnie Mack. Like, they weren't trying to be like that. That's just was what they were like, especially a couple of them. And I remember the first time I saw a video of Ronnie Mack when they started doing that, I laughed so hard, and I loved it, because it just reminded me of these guys I used to ride with when I was a kid. Like, the riding style, the gear, the whole thing. Like, that was just like, they were doing that. And they weren't even trying to do that, you know. Back
I was gonna say, because you have to have some skills to ride like that.
They were fast, really, but that was like especially the air wheelie stuff. Like, that's how I jumped for years. I thought that was the way you jumped. The air wheelies. Oh yeah, that's you know, just how I'd watch other guys, and it's like, oh yeah, like, you get the front end real high and you land on the back wheel. Like, that was just,
oh my God,
that's how you went about it, and you hung off the back, and you got the elbow real low, and like, that whole style, that was, you know, that's how we all rode. That was fast, you know. So, it's a funny thing. Some of the things these guys would do, but they weren't hamming it up for the camera or anything like that. That was just literally who they were. You know,
that's just what they do. Yeah.
And
we used to think the same thing. You see somebody that, you know, had the gear, matching gear and everything. You were like, that must be Rick Johnson, or you know, or Jeff Ward or something, you know. And it was unfathomable for me to have a uniform. I was, God, I think I was 22 or 23 years old before I got my first pair of riding pants and a jersey. And it was the cheapest answer stuff that you could find. I mean, just the heavy, you know, it's like a cotton jersey. And I remember, you know, I was a small guy. So I got a small jersey, and my mom dried it in the dryer. So then that thing was like all like this. It's just so tight. And I was, so I'd have to stretch it a little bit, and I had to pull the neck out and stuff to try to ride it. And then it would stain so bad. We're here in South Carolina. There's a lot of this red clay. So you go out and ride, and the jersey's orange by the end of the day versus, something like the nylons and the lycras that are some of the newest. And that's an old jersey. That thing's 20 something years old. But back then your riding gear is ruined after one day of riding. You're like, great, it's stained, So, and it's super hard. I love getting on eBay and try to find the old riding gear. And then you can tell the riding gear that was down here in the South, like in South Carolina and Georgia, it's all red, it's all orange and stained. And you're like, yep, I already got that. I don't want that. I want something from California that's white still, So
is that red dirt you got there, is it like super slippery?
When it's wet, yeah, it's like you could take like plastic pipe and spray WD-40 on it, and that's what it's like riding on.
Okay, we got a little bit of the same. It must be, we've got some stuff here that one of probably my favorite spot to trail ride like ever. And I used to live close by it, and I miss it. Is this area called Talangi, and one of the parts of Talangi is this red. It's just red ice. Just call it red ice. And and when it's got just a little sprinkling of rain on it, it is like you'll go sideways under engine braking. Forget about touching the brakes. You'll go like the back end will step out on a downhill just under engine braking.
Oh, wow, yeah.
It is amazing, but it teaches you really well to be really, it's fun. And when you sort of get into a bit of single trail with it, you sort of work the edges a bit where there's, a bit of greenery, that sort of thing. It's actually really, really, really fun to ride. But it's funny when someone hasn't, when someone's not used to it and you take them there for the first time, and first time they hit the brakes on a downhill, or they're just like, they're just going like a toboggan, that red stuff stains though, man. Yeah, it stains.
Yeah.
There's no wearing your new white gear out in that red clay. Yeah, it's amazing, man. It's amazing.
Yeah, it's and they make the when they had the Atlanta Supercross, it would be like Georgia red clay. So if you put some lime or put a little bit of sand or something, it actually pack really good. When it's dry, it packs really good. But when it's out like in nature and it's just like kind of flat or off camber or something, and it hasn't been tilled up, and it's just it's ice. It is ice. Yeah. I've had some spectacular dismounts off the motorcycle going into that stuff for sure. And like you said, it's the engine braking. You can just like gas, and I was riding like Steve Wise and the Supermoto stuff and Danny Chandler. I was like, I know how to do that. That's over there behind the store. They got this red clay track. Let's go over there and do some of that super bikers. And, it was always great. And you kind of get it, you kind of work it in. And then every so often you catch that edge and just, those were good times whenever you could fall like that and not be laid up with everything hurting in your body for the next 2 months.
Yes, that's right. Yeah, as you get older, you can, if you keep in it, you can still ride as good, but you can't crash as good, man. That's for sure.
Oh no,
you can't crash as good. Absolutely, man. Yeah.
And now that we're getting older, sometimes just brushing your teeth and leaning over the sink, and then you're like, oh. Whoa, I just pulled something in my back brushing my teeth. This is not good. It's as you get older, it's definitely one of those things that, that's part of why I like the riding and the wrenching part as much, because days that I can't ride, let's work on something and make it better. So
what's the funniest way you've hurt yourself, like as an old fella, like you've done something and you've hurt yourself and you've just gone, how the hell did I hurt myself doing this?
Well, I will tell you, oh my gosh, I would say just the other day, just the other day. Very simple. Was loading the bikes and in my Sprinter van, and I've got one of those folding ramps, and just didn't even think about my fingers being in there, and I let that thing us, and it caught all four fingers. Right, I thought I just cut my fingers off, and I was like, I'm like, I just wasn't thinking, just in a hurry, and slept that ramp. And it was like basically the same ramp that Daniel Blair took away from Randy. I've got one too. So it's the same ramp. And that thing is like, it's like a crocodile jaws whenever you leave your fingers in it. So that one hurt. And then we were down in Costa Rica, and we were riding. This was back in 2018, and it was Randy and Harvey and myself, David Pingree, Russell Bobbitt. So there's some fast guys with us, and I was like, everybody's like, we're having a good time, and there was just like little simple, like the creek was not even this wide, but it was very wet where everybody had been riding through it, and I was like, I'm gonna pop a wheelie. And I'm going to wheelie through the creek so my feet don't get wet. And when I had the wheelie up, it hit that wet rock like that, and it slammed me so hard. And I just cartwheeled out through there, twisted my ankle, brand new bike. It was a rental bike, brand new bike. And to this day, that ankle is still not right. I was hobbling around down there, and I was like, I don't want to go to the hospital in Costa Rica. They might cut my foot off. And so that's been one of them. And then, there I was trying to show off and show how good I can do a wheelie, but that day was just not my day. And just trying to show off in front of a national enduro champion and somebody that's won a Supercross race. And didn't work out. So, that was the last day I did a wheelie in front of anybody. Now I only do them when there's nobody around. I'll look around, make sure nobody's around. Don't anybody see me fall.
Here's a couple of mine. So I'd been out trail riding at Talangi, and I'd done about 150 Ks. So what's that? Nearly 100 miles of
that's like a lot.
Technical riding, some pretty hard trails and all that sort of thing, and never hit the ground once. And it's been a real good day. And I get home, and I unload I used to have to, where I lived, I had to unload sort of out the front, and then I'm wheeling my Cowie into the backyard and up towards the shed, up towards the garage. Park it in the shed, and I'll walk back down, and it's dark, and of course, wife and kids didn't think about turning the light on for me or whatever, And, but I know where I'm going, so, and then I go to walk back down the backyard, back out to grab my gear bag and the ramp and whatever, and my lovely boxer dogs had decided that day to dig a new hole. And I stepped in the hole. If you made a hole to smash someone's ankle, you couldn't make it a neater, perfect Morse size, right? And I've put my ankle in that and just rolled, and there's this loud crack, and I'm down, and I was on the backyard was sloped too, so I'm rolling down the hill, and I'm lying there wailing in pain. They got the TV on inside. They can't even hear me. So I'm
they don't care. Yeah,
laying there in the dark, and I'm just thinking, I just rode like 150 Ks through the bush, all these technical trails, nasty downhills, all that. I never hit the ground all day, and now I'm unloading, and I've smashed my ankle in a dog's hole.
In a dog's hole, yeah.
Oh my God, I just couldn't believe it, So that was one, and then probably the funniest one, man, where I've hurt myself, and I just threw my back out. And how I did it though was so I'm always singing. I like to sing, and especially when I'm driving. And you know, and I know my limits, and I'm a very average singer, but I you know, if you love the song, you got to try. You know, I'll try and stick with the singer, you know. And
Yeah,
it was a Queen song, and I know I can't stick with Freddie. Like no one can stick with Freddie, right? When you,
no.
but I'm punching out. I can't remember which Queen song it was, and I'm punching it out, and he's getting up to where he's hitting some high notes, and I'm really trying, and I like go to belt out this hard note of this song, and my back goes out. So
Oh wow,
I
that's
threw me back out trying to sing with Freddie Mercury. That was that's probably the funniest
yeah.
thing. And then at her, I just couldn't stop laughing. My wife thought it was hilarious. It's like I walk in, and I'm like, oh, put me back out. I got to go to the chiropractor. And it's like, what did you do? I was like, I was trying to hit the high notes with Freddie Mercury. So that was a crazy thing, man. Crazy. That's very one of the most, probably the funniest and most unusual, man.
Oh yeah. See,
Yeah.
somebody would have paid good money to have that one, recording.
Oh, someone who was recording that
yeah.
would have been very
Yeah.
funny. Like it'd be like,
Oh
singing,
yeah.
And then, oh.
Uh,
Obviously, like all back things is usually, like you've it's been building up, and then just something small makes it go,
oh yeah.
That was the thing, like you've been doing stuff that's hard on your back for weeks, and then you throw it out picking up a pencil, like it's just that build up. But yeah, the old trying to belt out a song. Yeah, that's it. We might throw in. We've mentioned Spec Bolt a lot, Robbie, but we might throw in a dedicated little ad read segment for it. So, Spec Bolt. So we've been talking about it. Spec Bolt Fasteners is the name of the company, and specbolt.com is the website. That's a really easy website to remember. Specbolt.com. Of course, we've talked about the restoration kits that they have. You can also get maintenance kits for your modern bikes. You can get pretty much anything you can think of to do with bolts and fasteners for your motorcycles. Also ATVs. They do even Can-Am ATV kits, that sort of thing. They even do the plastic grommet, the plastic clip kits for ATVs for all they're not called fairings. What do you call all the plastic stuff on it? I suppose they're not fenders and they're not fairings. Are they fairings?
Fairings, yeah.
Yeah, they even do things like exhaust springs. You can get new two-stroke exhaust springs, and they have a $5 flat shipping across the good old US of A. So which is that's amazing too, because a bit of weight in some Spec Bolt stuff. That was remember when Ken was sending me my stuff, I was like, I felt sorry for him because the old Aussie shipping rates with the weight and all that sort of thing. But I tell you what, if you're an Aussie, get it anyway. It is absolutely worth it. The time saving and the quality of the products is amazing. And I thought I'd wait for just now. I've literally there's my CR250 kit right there. So if you're just listening to the show, this won't be that good. But look, first one, rear fender. Look at that, just the rear fender in a little Ziploc bag. And I love a Ziploc bag because that's what I use when I'm doing a restoration. There we go. What do we got there? Front brake master cylinder. Look at that. Even the little cap, the master cylinder cap, the little tiny ones, brand new ones there. They're always rounded off, aren't they? They're always rounded off. They're always butchered, your master cylinder cap screws. Look at that one. Rear brake arm. There's one. It's just one on its own. That's the sort of detail you get in the packet. It is it's amazing. Yeah. Exhaust.
And I love that. So for me, when I'm doing some of those, trying to get it back to original restoration, when I'm trying to get it running and such, we can put these original bolts back in those bags and just save them, as spares later on. Because like you've done in the past, on a lot of these vintage bikes, it's the threads. Got to clean those threads out where they're going into the engine cases and such. and and you're pulling out a bolt that might have been in there for 30 or 40 years, and there's all this grit and everything else, and that's what I love about the spec bolts. They just go right in there, and we're good to go. I just and they have the nickel plated as well that I've used on some of my pro circuit builds, the KX 125 builds and some CR 125 builds. We also used it on Carson Brown's 93 CR 250 build that we did for Day in the Dirt back in 2023. That was a spec bolt nickel plated. And we lost a few of them. I'm not going to lie. We lost a few of them. So, but I had some extras. So yeah. Carson rides a lot harder than I do. So, yeah.
That's it. Yeah. So the nickel work stuff, if you're building something extra special, I just got the zinc because, like my bikes, they will go straight out onto a muddy practice lap if need be.
Yep.
So and sometimes that breaks your heart the first time. But I'm a guy that's I like to ride them. I build them to ride. So that's sort of I think they love being ridden too. I think secretly they love being ridden. I think garage queen bikes sometimes are a bit sad that they don't get to get out on the track. But if you're building something extra special, or if Garage Queens is your thing, Garage Queens is just a nickname we call. I don't know if that's a worldwide thing, but I know the Aussie vintage guys, they'll call them Garage Queens when guys just build one.
Oh yeah,
just sits in the garage looking perfect, or in their lounge room if their wife lets them. And I mean that's cool in its own way. I just like to ride them. But if you're building one of those, maybe the nickel stuff is, you get that extra shine on it, is a good way to go. And a fantastic company, and big thanks to Spec Bolt for the support of this show and the next few. So that's a go.
Yeah, that's great.
Robby, while I'm doing ad reads, I'll also get into Guts Racing, gutsracing.com. That's another really easy website to remember. All things to do with seats, of course. If you don't know about Guts seats, you must have been hiding under a tough block, I guess, because Guts seats are everywhere, winning everything. The Lucas Kuhnen and Kai de Wolf are just dominating in Europe on their Guts seats, on their factory Rockstar Husqvarnas. Even if you buy your own Rockstar Husqvarna off the showroom floor, it comes with a Guts seat, which speaks volumes when a company like Husqvarna on their premium model is putting a Guts seat on the bike as a original equipment. That is pretty cool. Guts seats obviously make seat covers. They also make complete seats, custom seats with bumps, with ultralight seat foam, with high seat foam in two different sizes, wide wing seats, the RJ wide wing seat. We had the great man on here a while back telling us about that himself. A huge range of colors, the ballistic material you can get for the sides if you are a big knee brace guy, that's squeezing really hard. Some guys go for the ballistic material. You can get Velcro fitment or original or you staple gun fitment. Speaking of fitment, when you get your Guts seat cover, it comes with a QR code. You scan that, and it'll take you to a video where you will see the man, Andy Grigg himself, showing you how to install that seat cover. So that's pretty amazing service, isn't it? And as Privateer Hero Scott Meshy says, they are a butt gripper and they will make you a ripper. Gutsracing.com. That's a real easy website to remember. Cool, man. Cool. Couple of ad reads. That's it. Couple of companies very glad that they are helping me out, man. Very glad.
Yeah. I've used the Guts seat as well on one of my Husqvarnas, the 125 I've got. So it was a great seat, and I never realized how much traction it has when you're old school and your seat bouncing. You need all the traction on that seat you can, and then you go back to a vintage bike from 1978. And the seat is like it's got WD-40 on it. You're just sliding all the way to the back,
Like,
I need a gut seat on those vintage bikes now. So yeah.
On your vintage bikes, if you want to race them, there's two things I think that it's really hard to not upgrade, and that is a gripper seat and wide foot pegs. Like you can't go back to skinny foot pegs, man. Like it just feels like unsafe, doesn't it? Skinny foot pegs. You got to put some wider foot, but you don't have to go giant size, but you got to put a bit wider foot pegs on your vintage bikes, I reckon. And then the gripper seat. It depends. Some seats are worse than others. Like I know my 96 Cowie, the seat on that, when I still had the original seat on it, man, that was so hard and slippery. So I got a purple gripper seat on that. That sort of thing. Yeah, some of them aren't quite as bad. Like it sort of depends on the. Sometimes it depends. Some of the older ones where the foam was pretty soft, you sort of sink a bit and grip.
Yeah, you just sit in it, you know.
Yeah, so the 80s bikes aren't too bad with original covers. But yeah, the 90s and the early 2000s, that's when they got the seat foams pretty hard and you started to sit on top of the bike, but it was still the shiny material. So yeah, really bad. The worst ones was the worst ones ever. A mate's got one. Those the model, the KTM models. When they had a lot of like silver, you know, the silver,
like the 98, 99, 2000.
That sort of those seats are so slippery, man, because they're really hard foam and a really, really shiny material. Those things are treacherous, man. Like you get a bit of that red clay on those, man, and it's all over. Like it's all over.
If you wash the bike, you could see the water kind of working its way down behind that vinyl, and it would just start cracking. Yeah, I've seen those. That's that was. I don't know what they were thinking. It looked good at the showroom floor, but it didn't look good 10 minutes after you rode. That's for sure. They were so slick.
They were, man. They were. Hey, I thought I'd just talk a little bit about just some fun stuff about restorations, man. There's a few different types of people who restore, you know, and there is. So here's some descriptions, and I reckon you and the listeners would have come across all these types. So there's like your tight ass restorer. You know, the guys who they'll pull it all apart and they'll clean it up, but then they don't want to spend any money. So they just sort of put it all back together. So it's really just a good clean, but they call it a restoration. You would have come across those guys. Oh no, I don't want to buy a new one. No, we'll just, we'll just clean it up and put it back on. And then it's like, hey, I've restored a bike. So you get those ones. Yeah. Then you obviously get your garage queen guys where it's just like, you're not even allowed to sit on it. You know, there's no chance it's ever going to see dirt and that sort of thing. Then there's probably the one of the ones that's annoying and is the guys who just paint everything, plastics included. Like it's just a paint restoration. Like they probably didn't even pull the engine apart. So there's just everything's just blasted in paint. And sometimes they're guys sometimes they're guys that have been into car restorations and they decide to have a go at a dirt bike. And they're used to just painting everything, and they just paint everything, man, except for the seat. Like everything's just painted.
Yes,
it drives you crazy, like that sort of thing. And then the another one that's funny. It's funny is the guys that overdo it, man. The guys who just like Cerakote everything, like every single part is like it's just everything's Cerakoted, everything's like high polished, and it's like all this it's almost like customized, but they just go way over the top with everything's like tone it down a bit. That's like not moto, it's not it's not a Harley Davidson, man. It doesn't need all that sort of bling. We don't need everything, every single part, plated to a Cerakote or a high polished finish and that sort of thing. You get all those types. And then do you have any pet hates, man? Do you have any pet hates when you see restorations that others have done or vintage bikes others have done? There's a few things that just driving me crazy. So,
You
what are you?
know, probably the one thing that I've seen more than I'd like to say is the spray paint guys. When they spray paint and they spray paint over the bolts,
Yeah, that's on my list.
and everything. They painted the engine,
Yeah,
and you're looking at Facebook Marketplace or a cell phone, and you can't see that until you look at it in person.
yeah,
And that to me, try to stay away from those if you can, unless it's just a really low hour bike. Um, I've gotten burned on a few of them, and one of the guy I bought a motor from a guy one time, a KX125 motor, just rebuilt. He sent me the build sheet and everything. What he didn't tell me is that he had a vapor honing machine, and after he rebuilt it, he vapor honed the motor.
Oh,
Well, if you vapor hone the motor that's completely together, there's no way you can keep the vapor,
no,
the glass bead from going everywhere. And
no chance. Yeah,
I broke my left ankle in 2020, so I just got the engine and I put it in the garage. So it sat for almost 9 months because I was on crutches. I couldn't do anything, and I went out there to put the engine in the frame. I'm building a 2001 Mike Brown replica bike. And I noticed the Kickstarter won't move. And I'm like, oh, that's odd. This motor's just been rebuilt. And then I'm like, oh, it's not moving at all. So I pull I pull the spark plug off, and I see because I have a vapor honing machine, and I was like, that's sand. That is glass media. Pull the ignition cover off. It is so packed with glass media that the magneto, you could not see it at all. It was just packed in there. And I'm like, oh gosh, this is not good. And I pulled the head off, pull the power valves, and the power valve assembly is just crammed full of vapor media, vapor blasting media. I called the guy and I was like, listen, what happened? I was like, you told me you rebuilt this motor. I bought stuff from you before. He's like, oh, I bought a vapor honing machine. I figured you would like it, like vapor honed. And I'm like, no. I didn't want that. And I said, the motor is ruined now. So that was one thing that, people get into doing something that don't have a lot of experience with. The only time you can do that is if the cases are split, the gears are out,
everything, bearings, everything. Yeah,
bearings are out, because that stuff is so fine. Because I use one of these. I've got 2 vapor honing machines that we refurbish parts for some machines at work. After you vapor hone it, if it takes you 5 minutes to vapor hone it, it's going to take you 20 minutes to clean it. And that's what a lot of people don't understand is it's the time that you dedicate to a restoration. So what I've kind of like started focusing my efforts on are finding low hour bikes. See if you can find, like, if it's got the original handlebars, the original grips, and then, the original decals from the factory and such. And then when you get a bike like that, just don't touch it. If it's a garage queen. And then on some of the older bikes, if it's a lower hour bike that you want to race, like say like my 78 YZ400, that bike was actually a very low hour bike, but I wanted to race it. And so I just was like, you know what? We're going to pull the carb off. We're going to buy a new air filter, and we're going racing. And it still had the original tires on it for the longest time. They were like brick hard. And Randy working at Michelin, he was like, pretty sure those are the original tires. I was like, yeah. I said, even better, Randy. I said, the rear tire is so hard that there's no valve stem in the tube. I said that the tire feels like it's got like 14 pounds of pressure. So eventually the tire came apart, but that was just part
Yeah.
of the fun of it. I was like, man, I don't care. I said, this is the way I used to ride as a kid. And then of course, I had him come over to the shop one day, and I was like, hey, we're going to take that tire off that YZ400. I said, we might need like dynamite and a flamethrower to get this tire off. And it was probably one of the toughest things we've ever done. We got the tire off, and he looks over at me. He said, all right, where's the new tires? I was like, oh, I got these old Michelin S12s from a 2000 YZ250. He's like, you're kidding me, right? You're putting like 24-year-old tires on this thing? It's like, yeah. It's like, I like those tires. So
S12s were good tires, man. They were good tires.
Yeah, that was a great tire. And so, yeah, that's what I've got on it now is I still got those S12s. I said, no more than I'm going to ride it. I was like, Randy, I don't need a new set of like, Michelins or Dunlops or Pirellis on it. And but I have some Garage Queens. I've got some riders, and I've got some that are a little bit in between as well. Because the thing about some of the vintage bikes is the parts are getting so scarce a lot of times. And a lot of what I have done is buy two bikes. So I've got two 1983 YZ125s. I got a white and red, and I got a yellow and black. Same bike. I got 4 1983 YZ100s. So it's kind of easy to troubleshoot if you got an issue. One of them is always going to run. So you just start pulling parts off and make them run. And, even a 79 CR125, I've got 2 of those. And I'd almost say 2.5 because I got enough parts to almost make a third one. But those are the kinds of things that whenever you're into the vintage restoration business, a lot of times you really need to have at least 2 of something just because. And I call it like, you have like animal rescue, people that rescue dogs or cats.
Yeah.
And I consider myself a motorcycle rescue for Facebook Marketplace. All the time, I'm like, oh, that's too good of a bike. That guy doesn't need to ride that bike. I need that bike because he's going to destroy that bike. So I consider myself a rescuer. I
feel the same way. Like I've bought bikes before that are supposed to be just for parts, but I was like, I'm not fixing you up. And I'll as like you were saying earlier on, where you say hello to them, like I give them a little tap on the back fender or a little tap on the grips as I walk past, just to say g'day when I go out there, like especially my favorite ones. And if I haven't ridden them for a while, I'll just say soon as I walk past. Soon. It's okay. And they especially my 96 KX125 is my favorite. That's my favorite bike ever, and it's like one of my children, So and it's it's a long story for another show, but it changed and sort of revived my motorcycling life when I first got it. So it's
that's awesome.
Special place in my heart, that bike, for that reason. And plus I love 125s, and I love riding that bike, love the way it handles, love the way it's been just unbelievably reliable. It has its 90s Kawasaki things. Yes, the frame has cracked, of course, and there's things that they had. But overall, it's been a amazing little bike. But the thing, what you were touching on before, parts, like I don't ride that as much now just because power valve parts are so hard to get. Like that's like I got the last time I got power valve parts for it, they were the last ones in Australia. Like my dealer said, this is the last one of this part in Australia. Yeah. So we really need a company out there to start making Kips valves, remanufacturing Kips valves, because there's a lot of us out there that are stressing about it. They last pretty well if you keep them clean.
Yeah.
Because most of them, as you know, the Kips, they all wore out when they got gummed up. If people aren't keeping them clean, or they're being old school and running them too rich on the oil and all that sort of thing, and then they because they're tiny little lightweight little aluminium gears. Like, man, they can't handle any resistance. They're going to be able to work real free.
Yeah.
So that's everything. But I love 125. So I'm thinking I'd love to get a YZ 125 because maybe like an early 2000s, because like the parts never change. Like there's parts everywhere for them. Like, you're never going to run out of parts for them. So
no, we will run out of daylight before we run out of parts for YZ 125s. That's for sure. Yeah, and YZ 250s as well.
That's right.
Yeah,
my pet hates. So you were talking about, so painted bolt heads is definitely one of them, man. Like you were saying before, painted bolt heads. So that's, if you get a bike with painted bolt heads, what you got to do is get yourself a spec bolt kit, don't you? And you can
That's exactly right.
That's what you got to do, yeah. And another one that always just I can't cope with is bad or inappropriate sticker placement on vintage bikes.
Oh yes,
that just drives me crazy. I can't handle it. I can't handle. I want to go up there and peel them off.
Me started.
Just like, it just does my head in. And the worst one, probably the worst one of those, is when people, for no reason other than lack of knowledge, put the wrong background colors on the wrong size bike. That, like, they'll put yellow backgrounds on a 125 just because the yellow looked cool. That just drives me crazy. Like, do you know the history of the sport? Like, what are you doing?
This was white.
Just those sort of things drive me crazy. And they put there'll be just some stupid modern sticker on the front guard or something like that, or just things. And I just please don't. Like, I already know exactly the stickers and where they'll sit on all my bike's back guards when they're done, and there's a reason behind them, and they'll be the right brand that's on the bike, and the location to suit the 80s style, and everything, like how it will be, and guys research what like RJ had on the back guard of his bike. People go into that much detail, and then you get someone that's just like, whatever stickers came with the cheap parts they bought, just slap that all over their bikes. Like, you just ruined it, dude. And then the worst one, my worst pet hate on restoration stuff by far, I've just got to look away, is vintage enduro's real getting pretty popular here, and sometimes it's a really lovely, well restored bike, but for some reason they'll put a modern headlight on it. That just I have to look away. Like, there'll be like your IT 200. And it's beautiful. It's like, you've done a good job, but then there'll be like a modern WR blue headlight slapped on the front, like an afterthought. And you see it just too much, like, it just drives me insane. Like, I don't care how long. Like, I restored a 96 XR 400, right?
Okay,
They're the only ones that had the purple plastic.
Yeah.
And they were prone for the headlight shrouds on those XRs were prone to break. I searched the world for probably 3 years to find, and it came from America, a purple headlight shroud that was the right thing and all that. And that was all on there before I even rode the thing. Like, it was, it was sitting there with bare with no headlight on it until I got the right one. And I was so happy when I got the right one. There was no way the wrong color or a modern headlight or something was going on that bike.
That's so funny. It's like you're Indiana Jones and you just found the Holy Grail. And you're doing this on eBay or Marketplace, and And I thought of something too. I was like, I have seen so many of these, like even at the Legends and Heroes tour that follows the Supercross races. Sometimes I have to turn away because as an FMF pipe with a Pro Circuit silencer,
Oh, no,
or FMF silencer with a Pro Circuit pipe,
you can't do it.
Or they've got Dunlop stickers on a 1989 Jeff Ward replica bike. He ran Dunlops, but they got Kenda tires on it. And
No,
you're like,
you can't do that.
what?
Yeah.
Spend the extra $20 and put Dunlops on it, even if they're
Yes.
Geomax or something. I'm
Yeah,
just
yeah.
like, you're kidding me. You're killing me here. You
That's
know?
right. Like you, yeah.
And then, Pro Taper stickers all over the swing arm, and they got Renthal sprockets. And I was like, oh, yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. And I've had to buy bikes like that because, drive 6 hours and, it's still a pretty good deal. And I was like, I'll just have to take those. So I'll just take those off and I'll put the right ones on. And then you got all these other parts. You're like, well, what am I going to do with this? Next thing you know, you buy another bike. You're like, I'll put that on there, and then I can just sell that bike. And then,
it's a tough one. It's a tough one, isn't it? Yeah, that sort of thing drives me back. I even still my favorite bike, my 96 KX. I still feel a little unwell that I had to put an FMF pipe on it, and I love both. I love FMF and Pro Circuit. Both. I love both brands, but it's a 90s Cowie. It should have a Pro Circuit pipe on it, but you can't get them. You can't get them.
Yeah.
So I had to get an FMF. It was just like, it still never looks right. Like, it's a cool looking pipe and all that, but it still never looks right. It's just like,
Yeah. Yeah. I've had to do it too. The one of the 89 KX 125s, it came with an FMF pipe, and we got pipes on back order, but for now, I need to at least have something on it so that I can start it.
That's right.
I did put the stock silencer on it, so it's just an FMF pipe with a stock silencer. I picked the Pro Circuit silencer and put it on the other one. So I actually had a Pro Circuit pipe on the other one. So So yeah, again, it's when you buy two bikes, you can put together and make one really good one, and then one that you can ride or what have you. So yeah,
that's right. And with a collection of your size, man, nothing wrong with a few garage queens, but like I think most of the time where I know some of the guys they'll stir up because there's guys who like they don't ride any of their bikes, like they're all garage queens, like they don't ride anything, and that sort of thing. And there's restoration guys out there that specialize in garage queens, like they build bikes that are expected to be never started, you know, and that sort of thing. And sometimes I wonder, like, did you even put a crankshaft in that thing? Like, is it is that motor empty? Because I couldn't bear the thought of building a motor and not starting it, and not at least knowing that it runs well. But some of them do that. They don't even want any fuel in it ever. Like it's I don't get that. But you got to have that spread. You got to have that Robby Green spreadsheet and start them up.
That's right. Well, and I will say that I do have a couple of gas tanks that have never had gas in them, because I'm starting to see recently a lot of the plastic tanks starting to split.
Yes.
And my wife got me the Motion Pro little bladder assembly, so I can put some 32 to fun in the premix and just hook it straight up to the carburetor, and then you don't have to worry about the graphics of the tank bubbling, or on your 1986 YZ or my 88 Kajiva, the gas tank turning brown. Because the white will turn brown if you leave fuel in it and such. But that's my my kind of my secret there of this is how you need to keep them going. And like I think so. It's funny you say that. I've got a 1978 Harley Davidson MX 250. And I got it from Lee McCullum. He completely restored that bike. There is no way I have the patience to restore something like that. The Harley parts are, Aramaki in Italy made those engines, and he found like the last crankshaft in America and the last tank strap that goes across the tank, and he found an original seat and stuff. And I said, man, how long did it take you to do this? He said, way too long. He said, maybe about, it was several years. And this was every single day looking for parts. I don't have that kind of time. And I thought about how much time would it take me to do this versus how much he's asking for it. And I'm like, okay, well, this is not a bad deal here. I'll just get one that's already done. And I asked him, I said, hey, does this thing run? Did you actually put gears in it? Does it have a clutch in it? And he said, oh, no, his engine's brand new. He said, you put oil and gas in it, it'll start. And I was like, okay, nice to know. I'm not going to start it because it's going to go in the house, and I don't want it smelling up the house. But yeah, you got to say out of the 115, I've probably got probably about 10 garage queens. I've got a 1989 CR 125 that's original tires, original grips, maybe 30 minutes of ride time. I got a 93 RM 125. I think maybe 10 minutes on it. It's literally, they're brand new bikes. And I've got a 06 Suzuki like that as well. So, I've got a few bikes that I don't have to ride because I've got other bikes that are very similar that I can ride. So, so I'll just leave those for somebody that just wants a bike for a garage queen. All these rich people hang Picassos and up in their living room and stuff. Well, people need to put like a 1989 Honda in their house. I think that's much more beautiful. So
absolutely. Yeah. A 1989 Honda, you're on the money there. Yeah. 89 CR250 is like my holy grail bike. That's that's what I'll have one day. I get this 84 done first, but an 89 CR250, that's my absolute favorite. What about you? What's yours? Probably one of your Kajivas you've already got.
Yeah, my 88 Kajiva. That's the one. Yeah.
Is that a white? That's a white one? 88's a white?
It's the white with the blue seat. And then they had the WP 4054s on the front and WP shock on the back, because Kajiva at one point was using Orleans as well. So a lot of my other Kajivas have a Orleans rear shock and like a Marzocchi front fork. Okay. And it's so funny, like the preloads on one side on the fork and the compressions on the other side of the fork. That's something we didn't see until we saw the SFFs of, like 2010 or 11, and Kajiva was doing it way back then. And that one would be one that would be hard to take away. And I've got a 96 Honda CR250 that's probably got an hour or two on it. The original tires, that's one of my favorites. And an 84 YZ250 with the original tires on it. It's one of my favorites. And a Dave Miller Concepts KX125. It's an 85.
Yeah.
It was one of the last bikes that he did before he passed away. The guy I bought it from had just sent the cylinder and everything off. So it's an 85, but it's got an 84 cylinder without the power valve on it. And that bike rips. That bike's fast. That's a rider for me. So those are some of my favorites. Obviously all the new bikes, they're pretty easy to ride. And they start easy. You can get the parts for them, but you just rarely see a Kajiva, and you don't see these 96 CR250s that are just not beat to pieces. And those are some of my favorites right there. And I remember, many years ago, seeing the number 17 of Ricky Johnson on that 84 Yamaha YZ250. And I was just like, man, that bike is so cool. that's a stock bike for the most part. I think his had actually a front disc brake on it, and but I always just loved that yellow, and it had a little bit of red on it, and just loved that bike. I thought it was the coolest thing, and but the Cagiva will always have a special place in my heart for sure. That was I think Strybos and Pekka Vakonen, they had already won the world championships, and if you look back at some of the 1987 and 88 magazines, they had a big presence. They were really pushing, and especially here in the U.S. And but then when they bought Husqvarna, I've seen stories where Cagiva bought Husqvarna because they wanted to do a 4-stroke, and Husky still had was coming out with those really nice 4-strokes, and Cagiva didn't want to do the development. They just wanted to buy it and start selling it. And then of course, that's, anytime you buy a company or something, there's those unexpected things. And the history of Cagiva is actually quite fascinating if you really delve into it and everything. And but those Cagivas, when they're set up good, they're really quick. They don't handle so good, but with depending on your suspension, you got to really play with the suspension. But when they, my very first Cagiva, I rode that thing every single day for probably a year and a half, 2 years. I didn't even know what the piston and rings looked like. I didn't know, and I just rode it, and I probably could have used Spec Bolt back in 1991 because I had, it was missing bolts and screws everywhere, and I'd just go to the hardware store, and it would be not metric, it'd be SAE American, but I'd be like, it's close enough. We'll just make it fit. We'll wrap some duct tape around the threads, and we'll just get that in there. It just needs to hold it just tight enough,
Yeah, that's it. That's it. Yeah, absolutely, man. Yeah. No, I remember I did just the most terrible things when I was learning to work on my own bikes. I was so rough and but I didn't know what I was doing. I was just making things work, like just making things work. I was so messy, like my corner of Dad's shed would just be just like a bomb's gone off of part, just like oil, and nowadays, man, I can't walk out of the shed without sweeping the floor. Like just
that's good.
It might be two leaves have blown in. Like I can't, and I can't finish up. Even if I haven't finished doing a job on a bike, I've got to at least clean the bench and just line the tools up, ready to finish it. And the tools I'm not going to need again, put away. Sometimes I'll just put all the tools away just because it's got to be, like everything's got to be done. I can't leave it. So. And I learned that, as you mature and you learn, like, keeping things neat and tidy and organised is the only way to be doing those sort of jobs, man. Yeah, that's it. Yeah, very good, man. Cool. That's it, man. I might ask you some fun questions, man. We could talk about restorations and old bikes for days, man. Of course, but. I've kept you for a while, and I always like to throw in a few fun questions towards the end of the show, man, that are about some different things. So, dude, a fun one I've been asking guys lately is who was your teenage crush, man? So, who was the poster on Robby's bedroom wall, like when you're like your teenage celebrity crush? Like, for mine, for instance, was I was too embarrassed to have a poster on my wall because of what Mum would say. But Kelly Bundy from Married with Children was definitely my go-to. What about yourself?
Well, I have to show my nerdy side of this. The poster that I had on the wall was a Cinesalo ad with Jeff Ward in white Cinesalo, and he was like kneeled down, and it was just Cinesalo boots and pants and jersey, open face helmet. It was beside like a KX125. That was the only poster I had on my wall. That was it. So every
no,
morning I woke up with Jeff Ward. So
no girls, just Wardy.
it was just Wardy. It was just Wardy. You know, I just thought,
That's
man, he is the baddest dude out there, man. He's the baddest dude out there.
I
So
love it.
so it's just Wardy, you know, and I had a
That's
Kawasaki,
fantastic.
you know. So
Yeah.
to me, Wardy and I were teammates because I had a KD80, but you know, we were teammates. So that was only poster, and I remember we got that at the Kawasaki dealership that I got my Kawasaki at, the little KD80, and they had it. It was given to them like as a promo or something, and so they ended up knowing the owners, and they were like, "Oh, you want this poster?" I'm like, "Oh yeah, I definitely want that," because I hated cutting my magazines up.
Yeah.
Because I cut the pictures out of my magazines, the magazines would fall apart. So, but it was Wardy. Wardy stayed on the wall for probably 4 or 5 years, I think. It was a long time. So,
so you could say that you were nuts about Wardy. Right?
Nuts about Wardy. Oh, for sure. Yeah, he was. We were teammates. That's the way I looked at it. He was my teammate.
And the best place to get nuts is Spec Bolt. Right.
Oh yes, that's right.
There you go.
That's right.
That's a little
right. I like that segue. That's a great segue.
Smooth segue there. That's it.
Yeah, that's great.
Dude, Robby, what do you do to relax, man? So when you step away from the shop and the spreadsheet's up to date and you don't need to start any bikes and that, what are you doing to relax? Something that's not moto related.
Again, my nerd side of me, I have these, I have a lot of bird feeders, and I like to just watch the birds eat. I know that sounds like old man stuff, but I'll drink my coffee, and like earlier today, we had the mourning doves, we had the cardinals coming in, we had the male and the female, and then we got this new like little yellow bird that's just started visiting, and so that's what I would do here. But I do enjoy the outdoors. I like to hike. I like to fish, and and just like to go take my boat out on the lake. That's always nice and relaxing. We have a lake that's only about 45 minutes from the house here, and we'll go and take the kids. Do the tube and do water skiing and stuff. So. But here at the house, it just seems like we're always working in the yard or something, and just I can go sit in the swimming pool and have a drink in my hand, and the bird feeders are close to the swimming pool, and we'll just watch the birds. I mean, it's just we literally have dozens of them, and I even have a bird book. I'm like looking through the bird book trying to figure out what it is, and stuff. Yeah. So it's super nerdy, but you know what? It's super relaxing for sure. And
it's funny that you mentioned that. Actually, the very last show, I had a good mate of mine, Kurt Evans, on, who you might have heard of Kurt. He's Down Up Design. He's the cartoonist.
Oh, okay, yeah.
He does a lot of cool stuff. Like you'll see his cartoons in Racer X, and he's got he's a very interesting guy. Like he worked for Motocross Action when he was 18, and he's got a lot of very interesting. And his other passion is birds. Like he's right into birds, like bird watching and bird spotting.
Yeah, that's funny.
It's funny to have two of you in a row with a similar thing that you're into, man. There, cool.
That's not that not that crazy. It's just something that what I enjoy about it is just always been interested in airplanes and flight and things like that. And you look at the birds and the way that they fly, and you're like, man, how do they do that? It's just like, man, this guy's flying, the hummingbirds flying backwards, away from you. And I'm like, how did they do that? So I don't know. It's just the physics of of flight from the engineering side of it. I really enjoy watching that in nature like that. So and of course, hiking and fishing, I love that as well. So that's you just you just have to plan those things. The bird watching, it's very unplanned. You can just go out there anytime and you can eat dinner outside and all that. So, but yeah, I do enjoy that.
Pretty nice weather there where you are, isn't it? Like where you guys live, the weather's pretty good. Like hot summers, but pretty good. Like it doesn't get too cold or anything there.
Yeah, it's awesome. It hasn't the first couple of years that we lived here in this house that we're at. We actually had snow like a couple of times.
Oh, really? Yeah. So it does get cold.
Probably 12 inches of snow.
Wow. Yeah.
But hasn't. I bought a Kawasaki Mule, one of those 4-wheelers. Because I was like, all right, we're going to pull the toboggan or the sleds, we're going to have this big neighborhood block party, and the day I got that, it quit snowing. So it hasn't snowed since I bought this Kawasaki Mule. So it's just, we have all these new sleds and everything. And, but weather is great. You can ride a mountain bike, road bike, motorcycles year round. It's really nice. The beach is only about 4 hours away from Greenville, so you can be at the beach in about 4 hours.
Oh, so you're in Greenville. Yeah, I know. I know these places because I know DB moved to Greenville. And Randy helped him find that town as a good place to live, and Randy's in Piedmont, which is close to Greenville. So, and next level's there, and so I sort of know.
That's right.
I feel like I know the area a little bit, but I don't know anything about it. So
yeah. Daniel lives about 20 minutes from the house here. He lives kind of towards the northern end of Greenville, and then Piedmont is kind of south of where I'm at, about 30 minutes. And a funny story, I used to live in Piedmont. So in 2001, I went to Loretta's and I finished 6th at Loretta's. Technically, I was the fastest man in Piedmont.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I mean, Randy likes to, he doesn't like facts or anything like that. But technically, I was the fastest man in Piedmont because I had a Piedmont mailing address. I lived there, and I lived there for almost 20 years. So I established a residency there. And the biggest thing, Randy didn't have a motorcycle. So I was fastest man in Piedmont. For a couple of months. I think 3 months I was the fastest man in Piedmont. So yeah.
There's a bit of controversy come to light here. So
yeah. It's only for 3 months, but I was the fastest man in Piedmont for sure.
Yeah, so the streak was broken. Yeah. That was so much fun watching you guys at Loretta's, man. The whole thing, it was so much fun. It was really, really, really good. That whole build up and all that. You guys are very very entertaining. It's you got that
good.
Yeah. It's same. It's like when I get it happens really because we all live so far apart now. But when I get together with my best mates, it's a similar thing. It's just a riot. There's just funny stuff going on.
All
the time, man. It's the great thing about good friends, isn't it? Yeah. Just you always as Aussies say, you're always taking the piss out of each other, as we would say. Or shit stirring, as we would say.
Yeah, we have a lot of that. That's for sure.
Yeah. What's on your bucket list, man? What's on your bucket list? So that could be dirt bike stuff or other stuff. What else?
So a couple of things on the bucket list. One, I still want to go to Erzberg. I'm going to go to Erzberg and watch that hard enduro. I think that would be a lot of fun. And from the moto side of it. And then from a travel side, I would like to go to Japan. And obviously, I'd like to come down to Australia if I'm on that side of the world and just, kind of visit. I just want to see those two particular cultures. I've always liked the Australian culture and such. I like kangaroos, and so those are kind of on the bucket list. And then also, at some point, I would really like to take like an adventure touring bike and go across the U.S. and just not really have a set time to make it. But I would like to do that. I've never really been out to the Wyoming and South Dakota area of the USA, and I would like to do it on a touring bike. And I just bought one last week. I bought a Yamaha Tenere 700 or T7, and so I'm like looking at the tires and everything. I'm like, yeah, I think this thing can probably go about 2,000 or 3,000 miles. I'd probably make it out there and buy a set of tires and then ride back. But you just got to make the time to do it. Those are a couple of things that I can think of right off the top of my head.
Nice. That all sounds like good stuff, man. Good stuff. I'm sure you'll get to do it, and I hope you enjoy it when you do, man.
Yeah. Which side of Australia are you on? The eastern or western side?
Eastern. Yeah. So southeastern is where I am.
Okay.
So I am on northern Victoria. So Victoria is like the southeastern state.
Okay.
That Melbourne is our state capital.
Yes. So it's winter time there.
Yeah, it's winter time here. Yeah. Or we're just about to get into the spring. Yeah, it's just starting to feel a little bit springtime now. Like the bees and the flowers are just starting to arrive now. So
okay.
So yeah. But that's where I am. Yeah. So it like most of Australia's population is on the east coast. So
yes. Yeah.
And then there's sort of there's really all down the east coast, and then it sort of curls around the south across to Adelaide, and then after that it's just like desert, and then there's Perth in the western bottom. In the southwest there's Perth and a few other little towns there, and the rest of everything's just desert. Oh, and then there's and then right up north is Darwin, which is where we're going to get an MXGP next year, which is pretty amazing. So
really, I did not know that.
Yeah, of all places, which is really cool. Yeah, the government up there is obviously putting in a lot of support to get an MXGP of Darwin. So yeah. That Darwin's real like it's real like Crocodile Dundee territory. They probably filmed Crocodile Dundee near Darwin. That's real tropical Australia. Yeah. So yeah, that'll be pretty cool. So that'll be a trip up there for me to have a look at that. Well, that's fun. That'd be a good one for you.
That might have to be my visit to Australia. I can.
The Darwin MXGP would be a good one, man, because you really get to experience that sort of tropical North Australia. That's where they'll do like the show, the crocodile shows out on the river and all that sort of stuff. And that would be and it's tropical weather. It's hot, humid. Darwin weather is probably like Florida weather.
Okay. Yeah.
So yeah. So I've got a good mate that lives up there, and I've already got his couch booked or his spare room booked. So
that's good. That's good.
Yeah, that'll be cool, man. Hey, we might wrap it up, man. There's two things I do towards the end of the show, man. And the first one is I always ask all the US guests to give me your best Aussie accent.
Good day, mate.
Oh, dude. Yeah, I'm not sure. I'm not sure what that was. Yeah.
That's not. Yeah, I think
it wasn't Australian. I'm not sure what it was, but it was.
I think it's Antarctica.
It made me laugh though. That was funny. Yeah. It's funny. It's a funny thing, man. You get some bad ones, and you get some really good ones sometimes too. People surprise you. Like, wow, you're actually pretty good. I'm no good at impersonating any other language myself, so yeah, that's that's a funny
I would make a horrible Australian. Good day, mate. Yeah.
Yeah, that's it, man. That's it. Cool. And then the last thing I do, man, to close out the show is my outro music is me singing a little bit of Kenny Rogers. And like I said, I like to sing. I'm definitely not a singer. I just like doing it, and it's a bit of fun. And there's a bit of a funny, weird backstory to how it all started. But I do a bit of Kenny Rogers, man. And I always say, if you know the words to Kenny Rogers, the Gambler, then you're more than welcome to join in. I just knock out a verse and a chorus.
I it's been a while since I've heard the song, but I know some of it,
Well, give it a shot, especially when we get to the chorus, man. I'm sure you'll know the words.
Okay.
So I handed him my bottle, and he drank down my last swallow. Then he bummed a cigarette and asked me for a light. And the night got deathly quiet, and his face lost all expression. Said, if you're going to play the game, boy, you got to learn to play it right. You got to know when to hold 'em, know when to fold 'em, know when to walk away, know when to run. You never count your money. When you're sitting at the table, there'll be time enough for counting.
When the dealing's done.
That's it.
Oh my gosh, I can't believe I remembered that. Oh wow.
That's it. That's it. I love it when people join in, man. Robby Green, thank you very much for your time. It's been a good fun show. And yeah, I knew I'd have a good time talking to you, talking all things vintage restoration and anything fun to do with dirt bikes, man. So yeah, enjoy the rest of your day. Thank you very much for your time, and thanks again to Spec Bolt. It's this show was brought to you by Spec Bolt. That's it.
Yeah.
Thank you,
man. Steve. I appreciate it. Thank you for your time today, and you have a wonderful day. It's a Tuesday down there, right?
It is, man. It's Tuesday. Yeah.
Hey, tell me what the winning lottery ticket numbers are for, since you're a day ahead of me. I need you can do that for me.
I wish I knew, man. I wish I knew. That's it.
All right.
Thank you, man.
Thanks again, Steve. See you soon. Come and visit us.
I'll try. Thanks, man. Cheers. Bye.
Cheers. Bye-bye.
Bye.